People say that the first ever computer was the Babbage engine made by Charles Babbage. But the issue with the Babbage engine, it wasn't completed as it had always failed. As hard as Charles Babbage tried to make the system work, the technology wasn't advanced enough, and so it wasn't really completed up until 150 years later, in 2001. That's when the Babbage engine began to function properly. And so, the first ever computer was made in 1936 to 1938, called the Z1, made and designed by a man called Konrad Zuse, in which he built in his parents' home. He had also built the Z2 and Z3 computers. The computers were so large, they took up a whole living room individually. Compare that to today's computers, in which only takes up a fraction of its space. This is the difference between invention and innovation. The invention was a Z1 computer. Konrad Zuse was the inventor. Then we have people like William Shockley, John Bardeen, and Walter Brattain, who made some innovations to the original computer by compacting the size. Three of those men created the transistor computer, in which it's often called the second generation computer. It was also the first step in advancement of computer technology. We skip over to 1966, when chief architect Jean Amdahl made the IBM 360. This is the third gen of computers. This computer was significant because of how much compatibility it had with technology ahead of its time. It allowed business data processing operations to grow from smaller machines to larger ones without the expense of rewriting programs. Kind of like when Windows creates a new operating system, Windows 10 to Windows 11, all the data would just be saved in your storage, SSD, HDD, and the OS could easily read the data and there would be no files lost. Then in 1971 to 1980, we have the fourth generation computers. This is when computers start to look like the modern computer. Famous company Intel was the first company to develop a microprocessor, the Central Processing Unit, the Intel 4004, in which was made by physicist Federico Fagin. This time, it was an even bigger leap of technological advancement because this processor was used for general use, compared to the previous machines that only had one set purpose. Low key though, it looks like one of those hex bugs. Then we have the fifth generation of computers, the 1980s. This is when computers were allowed to be in the consumer market. Anyone could have a computer as long as they have the money for it. This was also when parallel processing and AI became the focus of technology. We start seeing search engines like Google, Internet Explorer, and if you're an old schooler, you know about Netscape, Archie, JumpStation, and the best thing humanity has ever made, the internet. Not only that, but during that time, this is when the GameCube, Game Boy, Xbox, PlayStation, and the Nintendo DS, all that other technologies, came to be. So this is the era that people now today can see as nostalgia, if you had these devices. And all these devices are practically computers, same functionalities. Not many people are sure if we should divide the fifth generation and make present day the sixth generation, because although a lot of computers today were inspired by computers in the 1980s, technology advances like 1 to 2 years now. Computers today are several thousands of times quicker, conventional, and overall better than the ones like over a decade ago. A lot of big companies rival each other and try to make the best technology possible. Asus, Gigabyte, MSI, Samsung, TSMC, Nvidia, AMD, and of course Intel, and many more companies are all responsible to making the parts of a modern computer. So hey, why not just add the sixth generation anyway? And inevitably so, technology shall continue to advance. It's not like I know the future, but I think it's quite obvious to anyone of the first world country, probably even the third world countries that are knowledgeable. That technology is just advancing quicker by the day. It gets easier, more accessible for the public to use, and it's a good thing, I think. I hope you guys can think that too. Anyway, it's been your boy Juan Benitez. Hope I grew some brain cells in your head, and I'm out.